So they've been married for 13 years. We'll find out later on. They've got 3 kids together. And she says, I'm amazing. My wife says, I'm amazing. She wouldn't change anything, but she's not interested in physicality with me at all. And she gets pissed if I even suggest a back rub. So what's the first question that you might ask this man? So if you're going to play along with me, what would you do, or what would you do? What would you do here? What would you do, or what would you ask this man if this was you in this situation? So while the gentlemen ponder, so does anyone want to unmute themselves right now? Come on, guys, you can do it. I'll ask you a question. So if a woman says, everything is great, I think you're amazing, but don't fucking touch me and I'm going to sleep on the couch. What might be going through the relationship? What might be that third entity, right? There's him, there's her, then there's the relationship, the third entity. What might be going through her side of the relationship? What might she be feeling? And why might she say, oh, everything's great, you're amazing, but don't touch me? What might be going on there?
It seems like she's, pretty well sourced and happy in the way she's leading her life. Her structure, her routine, her kids, and that's like maybe her identity. I happen to think that when a woman's like, oh, like, this is great, you're wonderful, but no sex, there's like, there's some sort of emotion in the relationship space that's like a turn off to her. There's something that goes on that when there is touch or there is sex, that it leaves a residue that doesn't feel good to her, whether or not that's her stuff or his stuff. And she, either one, doesn't feel like there's any point in talking about it because nothing's going to change, isn't aware enough to really recognize that's what's going on.
So if I just recap, right? So there's him, there's her, but then the relationship space, there's something in there that's turning her off, and either they may not know what it is. It's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Cool. We got more to come, so I'm going to pause you there. Yeah, Scott, go for it, man. Unmute yourself and come on in. What might you think, or how might you start? Go for it.
Well, I'm looking back to last November, which was kind of like when when I was told that she wanted to leave. So she was she would still engage with me and she would still like have sex, but I felt it was only for me. It was like, oh, let's just get this over with. So I wasn't quite there. It was like a different kind of side of it, but I feel like it was the same kind of thing, like she didn't want to cuddle. She didn't want to be there, but she was like, all right, let's get this over with and leave me alone. And which of course didn't feel that great,
Yeah.
But
so, thanks, Scott. Yeah, that's almost like there's just the two individuals and there's no relationship is what you're saying, right? Like,
and it's like, here you go, buddy. And then, all right.
And that feels
that's how it felt.
Yeah, it feels good for half a second, and then it's like, oh, that wasn't.
Yeah, and you're like, looking at the watch, it's like, oh man, I'm done. But if she didn't want like any, physical touch, I mean, I'm trying to like think of what I would do.
I saw John said that she views him as a friend and not a lover. And that's a really hard place. That's a really hard thing to realize as a man is 15 years, 13 years down the road, you have 3 kids together, and she's basically completely done and says she's happy with being just a friend and a roommate and not a lover at all. And at that point, what has a woman gone through to go from, I want to marry this man and be with this man forever, and I love this man and sex and all these things, to I'm totally done with sex? What kind of, I speak about a woman's 2-year time bomb, as Steve Horseman would say, and Good Guys to Great Men, as you guys know, Steve, right? He talks about the 2-year countdown or the lights turning off in the office building over 2 years. So what does a woman have to potentially go through to completely shut down to just want to be friends? Like, what are maybe 2 or 3 big things that could have happened? So at least we as men can understand what roads to explore.
So one big thing is like an event or a series of events where she felt like she had to sacrifice herself to the relationship, and that he didn't pick up on that or didn't protect her from that. So it's like, oh, well, I can't trust him to do that. So I'm going to like kind of move my energy over here. Another big thing is if in a more feminine moment, and this could be everything from a like feminine moment that she's doing really well, or a feminine moment that she's not doing well, if she feels like that's seen as untrustworthy, like she gets that expression from him that he's almost like disgusted by her because he's confused by her behavior or angry with her, and like that he is like not valuing like that feminine in her. That's another big thing. That's either a big event or small over time. And then the other big thing is if she feels like she's been asking for something in relationship with him, but she's doing it in a very unskilled way, or in that wonderful way where women ask for something and they don't really ask for it. And
I don't know what you're talking about.
And then he like doesn't seem to hear or understand what she's saying, and she's asked it repeated times, and then it's like, whatever, fine.
So the last one is he's not reading between the lines. He's not also pressing in for the honest experience that she's having, even though he's feeling something's wrong. That's how I'll add some more words to that. Yeah. And also he's probably not leading for her to follow along that energy. And then one thing I'll just say this about this. So if I'm just kind of autopiloting through life, which by the way, I did in my past relationship, and I've shared in the show that up until 2015, I didn't know how to do this work. I was in mental health and a teacher, but I still couldn't see the back of my own head with modern relationship and these skills, because this isn't obvious stuff. And so with that, if I'm not leading as a man with a strong energy, if I'm just kind of an autopilot, it's harder for me to understand what's going on with the feminine in my life, the woman in my life. Because if I'm just, if my sail on my sailboat, if my sail is down and my rudder is up and I'm just going wherever the wind is blowing me, there's no push and pull with the feminine in my life. I'm not polarizing my masculine and her feminine. But if I put the rudder down and I put the sail out and I catch the wind and I'm going this direction, and if she doesn't want that, or if she is loving that, I'm going to be able to tell because I'm moving a direction. So that's one way that it's like, well, how can a man know? Well, if he's listless and directionless and passionless and isn't leading in the relationship, then it's going to be really hard for him to understand, because she might be upset about work or upset about him or upset over the past 10 years. But if he's on his mission and on a path, it's much more apparent. And then you can have, you can do something about it basically at that point, right?